Obviously, with the shooting in Oregon, all of us have been riveted on root causes for these acts of seemingly senseless violence in our communities around the country. I was struck by a story in the New York Times today where the mother of this shooter was interviewed, where she said, sometimes he takes his medication, sometimes he doesn't. And that's where the big problem is, when he doesn't take his medication. So I've heard the President and Secretary Clinton rail about this issue, but not come up with any solutions, any constructive ideas. I've tried to do that along with others, and by focusing on the mental health component, the common element in so many of these instances of mass violence. And one of the ways we can do that is by empowering families to give them other alternatives for court-administered and supervised treatment on an outpatient basis, so people are compliant with their medication requirements so they don't get sicker and sicker and perhaps descend into violence. We can work more constructively with law enforcement and schools and our judges to try to divert people from prison and jail to places where they can actually get some help, and so they can be restored to productive lives. And many places like my hometown of San Antonio are doing just that. And then we need to strengthen the instant criminal background check system by incentivizing the states to upload cases of adjudicated mental illness onto those systems so that can be documented when someone tries to buy a firearm. For example, the shooter in Virginia Tech had been adjudicated mentally ill, and so many of these cases, case after case, you see where this is a common thread. If the President would be willing to work with us, as we have worked together to reform our criminal justice laws in a bipartisan way, as was announced last week, we could actually make some real progress by dealing with some of the root causes. But as long as the President wants to demagogue this issue and use this as a way to drive Americans apart rather than to bring us together in a common solution, we're not going to be able to make the progress that we need to make in order to protect people from themselves and to protect the communities around them.